Subpart T, Federal Crop Insurance Reform. Federal Crop Insurance Reform Insurance Implementation Reform Act of Federal Crop Insurance Company Corporation implementing with the crop insurance program with the offer several levels of the insurance with coverage of the producers. These levels of person include with the catastrophic risk protection and additional coverage insurance with the subpart parts with the notice availability with the crop insurance with the option establish the provision requirements implementation insurance provision reform act. Federal Crop Insurance Act is amended Title 7 U.S. Standard Code 1501 and Tennessee with additional cover the level of coverage greater than the catastrophic risk protection, administrative fees, and an amount of the producer put with the catastrophic additional coverage for the crop year with the per crop counting base for the basic provision catastrophic risk protection endorsement approved the private insurance of the company include with the agents has been with approved with the insurance with the federal crop insurance company provide insurance coverage to produce with the participating federal crop insurance program approved yield with the actual production history with the yield with the calculated with approved with the verified with the yield with the term of the production guarantee with the by someone in the year actually assigned with adjusted with the unadjusted with the transitional yield with the dividing the sum of the number of the yields contained in the database which will allow to contain the last at least 4 yields with the database may contain up to 10 consecutive crop years actual assigned yields approved yields that have been adjusted with elective with the applicable public provision and other limitations according to Federal Crop Insurance Company Corporation approved with the procedure supplied with the calculating approved yield catastrophic risk protection minimal level of coverage offered with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation, which be required before the person may qualify with the certified USDA program benefits, unless the producer executes the waiver of the eligibility of emergency crop loss assistance with connection with the crop for 1995 to 1998 crop year. Such coverage will offer protection equal to 50% of the approved identified with the 60% expected market price comparable to coverage of the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation federal for 1999 subsequent crop years. Coverage will offer with the crop protection equal to 50% of the approved year yield identified with 55% of the expected market price comparable to coverage of the estimated by the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation. Catastrophic risk protection endorsement part of the crop insurance policy will contain with the provision insurance for the specific catastrophic risk protection. Crop economic significance. A crop that is either contributed to previous crop years expected to contributed with the current crop year 10% more total expected value of the producer share of all of the crops grown in the county. However, the crop will not be considered the crop of the economic significant expected liability under the catastrophic risk reduction endorsement equal to less than the administrative fee of the required crop. Expected market price election of the price unit of the production with the other base for the term of the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation anticipated during the period of an insured crop normally is marketed by the producer. The price will be set with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation before sale for the closing date of the crop. The expected market price may be less than the actual price paid with the buyers. With such price typically include the remuneration, significant amount of the post-production expense for the condition, culling, sorting, and packing, etc. Federal Crop Insurance Corporation, wholly owned with the government corporation USDA, FSA, Federal Farm Service Agency with the Agency of the United States with the Department of Agriculture, any successor agency, insurable to in-depth the value of the producer, interest of the crop, of the risk of the insurable, the cause of the loss of the termination, insurance period of the maximum indemnity payable of the producer may not exceed the identity of the due of the producer, insurable interest for the time lost insured. Intended with the crop state with the application submitted with the honor before the stating of the closing date with the crop of the producer intended with the plan with the crop year with the application is made. Linkage with the requirement of the producer must be of the same least catastrophic for the production coverage of the crop insurance. A significant condition receiving the benefits of the crop certain USDA programs according to the 455 unless the producer execute the waiver of the eligibility of the emergency crop loss assistance in connection with the crop person, individual partnership, association, corporation, state with the trust of the legal entity with the where applicable with the state with the public political subdivision agency of the state with the Reform Act, Federal Crop Insurance and Insurance Reform Act of 1994, Public Law 103354. Secretary of the United States with the Department of Agriculture, substitute with the crop of the alternative crop whose sale for the closing of the date has passed the planting of the acreage of the preventive of the bleeding plan with the intent of the crop, with the intent of the crop is planted in fall fails. 0 acreage report filed with the producer, certified with the producer does not have the share of the crop for the crop year. 406.52 with the insurance availability sufficient if sufficient actual data available. The Federal Crop Insurance Corporation offers with the catastrophic risk protection additional coverage plan with the plan's indemnity with the person with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation insured with a reinsured crop loss due to the loss of the yield of the prevented planting crop loss of the preventative of the planting is due with the insurer of the cause of the loss specified with the applicable crop insurance policy with the catastrophic risk protection coverage may be offered through the approval of the insurance provided through the local office of Farm and Service Agency with a specified with the Secretary of additional coverage will only with the office of the approved insurance provided that there is not a sufficient number to approve the insurance provided with such insurance for the service area. Person must obtain with the license of the catastrophic risk protection crops of the all insurable acreage of the county with a person with a share of the one before the sales of the closing date designated with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation for the crop of the county under in order to satisfy with the linkage requirements unless the producer executes a waiver of the eligibility emergency crop loss assistance connection with the crop for additional coverage in an area with the insurance available to a particular agricultural commodity with the insurable. The Federal Crop Insurance Corporation may enter the written agreement with the person insured with the commodity with the provide with the person accrual sound data relating to the production of the commodity except for the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation. Such written agreement is specifically allowed with the crop insurance regulation applicable with the crop. Failure to comply with the provision of the policy constitute with a breach of the contract may result in eligibility certain with the farm program benefits of the crop year with the AL benefits of the are already received must be refunded with the producer procedure for the insurance contract execution of the waiver of eligibility emergency crop loss assistance will not be effective for the crop year in which the breach occurred. 406.53 determine the crop's economic significance, eligibility, certainly other program benefits over the 406.55 following conditions apply with respect to the crop to the economic significance producer that does not execute for the waiver of the eligibility for the emergency crop loss assistance in connection with the crop of the for the producer planning with the economic significance preceding with the crop year that does not intend for the plant with the same crop of the present crop year, but the producer does not have to obtain with the insurance coverage or the execute with the waiver of the eligibility for the emergency crop loss assistance in connection with the crop of the present crop year that comply with the linkage requirements. However, the producer later decides to plant the crop, the producer will be unable to obtain the insurance for the sales of the closing date, but the must execute with the waiver of the eligibility for the emergency crop loss assistance with the connection with the crop to the eligible the benefits especially over the 465 with the failure to execute with the just waiver of the will recover the producer with the refund of the benefits already received under the program specified in 465 with the producer initially responsible to determine the crop's economic significance for the county with the insurance with the provider with the benefit of the producer with the making the initial determinations. However, these determinations will not be binding with the insurance provider with determining with the percentage value of each of the crop multiple over the acres planted with the crop time of the producer shares of the time approved the yield of the time of the price the add value of the crop grown over the producer within the county with the divided value of the specific crop of the result paragraph of the B2. Producer may give the type of the price for the current law, local market price, futures price of the estimated price of the highest amount over the insurance of the price of the calculating the value of each of the crop provided with the producer and same type of the price for all crops in the county. The producer may recover the justify the calculation provided adequate required to enable the insurance to provide with the verify of the crop's economic significance. 406.54 application acreage report with the procedure for the participate with the catastrophic risk protection additional coverage plan with the insurance for the producer may be must submit the application for the insurance for the on and before the applicable sale and closing date in order to remain eligible to certain farm programs specified in 4655 of the producer must obtain with the least catastrophic risk of the on all crop economic significant catastrophic risk protection available within the county and live with the producer of SQ away from the eligibility for the emergency crop loss assistance connection with the crop does not withstand with the requirements of the 406.54A with the application for the insurance submitted on or before applicable sales closing date. Federal Crop Insurance Corporation may permit the producer to insure the crops other than those specified with the application with the following condition. Producer must be unable to plant with the intent of the crop. It is not practical to replant over the fail of the crop to the final planting date with the final crop to Crop Insurance Corporation taking into consideration marketing window of determining whether it is not the proper to replant condition must be exist with a warrant allowing the procedure for the insurance of the crop with the intent of the crop of the producer must submit with the application of the substitute for the crop at the on before the acreage of the reporting date with the substitute with the crop pay applicable administrative fees for the producer may not substitute for the crop of the producer of the plan for the preceding crop of the years unless the crop was listed with a timely file with the application of the current crop year. The producer must submit the application substitute for the crop on and before the acreage reporting date with the substitute for the crop of the play with the applicable for the administrative of the fees of the procedure may not substitute for the crop of the procedure for the plan with the preceding crop year unless the crop was listed with a timely file for the application of the current crop year for the If the producer plans for the subsidy for the crop of the economic significance, the producer must obtain with the CAT coverage if it is available to comply with the linkage requirements specified within 465.5. Producer may not substitute with the crop under the provision if the producer signs with the intent to sign with a waiver of the emergency crop loss assistance with the crop year with a subsidy with the crop that must be planted with the on before the first planting date with the winds of late planting period with the if applicable subsidy with the crop and in no circumstance when the producer submit with the application additional coverage of the sales closing date with a substitute crop for all coverage is included with the catastrophic risk protection. Additional coverage of the producer must sign with the acreage report on or before the acreage reporting date with the person must sign with any of the document related to the crop insurance coverage of the behalf of any of the other coverage of the policy provided with the person and properly execute with the power of the attorney with the other legal submission of the document authorizing such person with a sign with the under catastrophic risks protection unless other person with an insurable interest for the crop of the object with the written prior of the accurate reporting date with a provided single acreage report on their own behalf of the operative with a sign with the acreage report with the other person with the insurable interest for the crop with the power of attorney, all persons with the insurable interest for the crop with the interest with aware of the other operator to sign with the representative of the bond with the information contained with the acreage report 406.55. Eligibility of the program benefit of the procedure must obtain the least catastrophic coverage of the each economic significance with the county with the producer have the insurable share of the insurance available to the county with the crop unless producer execute with the waiver of the eligibility emergency crop loss assistance with connection with the crop that they are eligible for with the benefit of the Agricultural Market Transition Act loans with the USDA with the provide with the farm credit including with the guaranteed direct farm ownership loans, operating loan with the emergency loan with the Consolidated Farm Rural Development Act provided in October 13, 1994, benefit the Conservation Reserve Program derived with a new and amended application of the contract executed after October 13, 1994. 406.56 to 465.7 reserve the subpart U with the ineligible program with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation. 406.75 for the purpose subpart with the prescribed with the conditions of the provision, the person with the determined ineligible to participate in either the part program with the administrator with the authority with the Federal Crop Insurance Act with the substitute with all of the established criteria with the beginning eligibility. 406.76 with the reserve, 406.77 definitions as you with the Federal Crop Insurance Act with the Federal Crop Insurance Act with the applicant means for the person submitted with the applicant crop insurance coverage with the act with the authorized person means with any of the current with the past officer with the employee with the elected with the official with the managing with the general agent with the contract with the insurance with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation, any other government agency who duties with the required with the act with the ITS with the administrative with the act with the controlled substance with the same with the meaning with the provided Title 7 CFR 3021-610 with the conviction, many of the judgments, any of the determination, guilt with the criminal offense by any court of the competent with the jurisdiction with aware of the entered up of the verdict plea with the include with the plea with the no content with the date of delinquency meaning with the termination date specified with the applicable plea with the administrative with the fee with the premiums over the insurance with the issue with the authority with the act, any interest and penalty with each amount with the applicable to due J with the specified with the notice of the person amount with the due with the any of the amounts with the due with the insurance provided with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation, insurance issue with the authority of the act, other amounts of the date include but without limited identity prevented with the planning payments of the planning payments found would not have been earned or that were overpaid with the premium bill with the due date with the termination date with the crop year with the premium was earned with any of the interest administrative fees penalty with the amounts of applicable with the payments on postmark with the received with the before of the date with the delinquency by insurance providers of the agent with the own insurance provided with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation for the debts of the loan with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation and not delinquent. That means the amount of the money with determined to be owned by any of the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation insurance with the provider and execute with it, excluding money with the provider with the insurance provider agent with the under any of the program with the understanding of the act of the debt when they be the reason of the non-payment and payment and interest of the penalty of premium with administrative fees, overpayment identity with the preventive planning with the replan payment of cost collection with the other cost of the debt does not include with the debt with the discharge of the bankruptcy debtor the means of the person with the owes of the debt with the delinquency that has not been satisfied with the before with the delinquency to avoid the delinquency and eligible to do with the delinquent debt with the debtor may enter with the written payment agreement acceptable to the insurance with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporations to say pay such debt as long as the payments are made with the due date with the specified with the written payment agreement delinquent debt with it does not include with the debt discharge bankruptcy any of the debt insurance provider agent Employer identification notification with the meaning of the tax identification number, the issue with the internal revenue issue with identify with the business name, but they may also prefer with the federal tax and identification with the execute with the party list system. Means listed, maintained with the general service administrator that provides course of the current information about with the person with the exclude with the disqualify with the cover the transaction, include with the date with the person, determined eligible with the date with the period with the ineligibility of the period ends with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation means of the wholly owned with the government corporation with the USDA. Eligible person means of the person who have denied participating with the program administrator owned with the authority of the act and eligible to tracking simply means electrical system and identify with the person the eligible participant with the program person with the subpart of the insurance with the provider with the legal entity with the hesitant with the standing with the reinsurance agreement, the livestock with the rights with the reinsurance agreement, the other reinsurance agreement is applicable with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation, applicable to reinsurance year with the livestock price reinsurance agreement means a cooperative financial insurance with the system with agreement with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation system with the provider with the delivery eligible to livestock price with the insurance with the contract under the authority of the act established with the term of the condition under Federal Crop Insurance Corporation will provide substitute with the reinsurance with the eligible livestock with the pursuing price insurance with the policies sold. Meaningful opportunity with the contest meaning with the opportunity to ensure with the resolve of the disagreement of the decision with the insurance with the provider with the requesting review with the decision with the insurance with the provider with the mediation arbitration judicial view as applicable person means individual partnership with association cooperation state with the trust with the other legal entity with the where applicable state with the local and political subdivision any of the state where the person does not include the United States government, any agency over there, qualified for the same of the meaning of the person responsible for the work of the Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996. Reinstate with the means of the policy for the remaining in the same plan with the insurance of the covered level of the price for the percentage of the endorsement of the operation person with the private determination provide with the person with the continue with the meet with the eligibility requirement with the comply with the term of the policy with the, there's no evidence of the misrepresentation with the fraud. Social Security number, the meaning of the individual Social Security number are also issued under the authority of the Social Security Act. Standard reimbursement insurance agreement with the means of the cooperative of the financial assurance agreement of between the Federal Crop Insurance Company with the corporation with the insurance to provide with the delivery of the eligible crop insurance with the contract with the authority of the act. The stability terms of the any of the conditions under the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation will provide substitute with the reinsurance for the eligible crop insurance policies and sold. Substitute with the beneficial interest for the same of the meaning is contained with the applicable policy USDA with the United States with the Department of Agriculture, United States with the non-citizen national have the same thing with the personal responsibility with the working opportunity reconciliation act of the 1996 written payment agreement meaning for the written document with the data of the insurance provided with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation signed with the date of the applicable for the parties with the financial obligation with the data with the schedule of the installment of the payments done with the condition modified with the terms of the original debt in accordance with 40681. 4 and 678 applicable to subparts applied with the Program and Administrative Authority Act with the not limited to with the catastrophic risk protection plan with the insurance with additional coverage of the plan with the insurance with the subservicing authorized with the under section 508 C with the act with the private insurance with the product with the authorized zone with the 508 H with the 523 D with the act with the reinsured with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation and the person insured with the contract cooperative agreements under section 5061 and 522C with the 522D with the 524A with the Act with the 40679 with the criteria to eligibility except for the otherwise provided with the person eligible to participate with any of the program administered with the authority of the Act. The person meets one of the more of the following criteria that has a delinquent debt with existence of delinquent debt with the must be verifiable. The person have with the provided meaningful opportunity with the content of the debt with the person with content debt with the debt with such for the action that does not lie with the preclude effect with determination eligibility determination notification eligibility in accordance with 40682 with the determination applicable crop insurance policy with the ineligible person being reported, accordance with 40682 with the eligible person with the being recorded with the ITS. If the person is determined not to over the debt with the eligibility reinstate with the retroactive with the day with the determination eligible with the applicable with the policy with the reinstate with the applicable with the indemnity with the preventive planning of the replanting replant payment that earned with the maybe to provide with the person with the continue to comply with the terms of policy. Individual with as convicted with the controlled substance violation according with the 40680 has been disqualified under section 515 H of the Act for the individual United States with the national citizen, non-citizen, national qualified alien. Such individuals that may not be recorded at ITS of that. However, the such for the individual eligibility under the provision of the Personal Responsibility Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996, Title 8 U.S. Standard Code 1611, have been suspended with the bar of the committing of the crime specified in Title 2 CFR Part 180, Title 2 CFR Part 417, TL7 U.S. Code 2209, ineligibility determination not stayed pending review. However, the reversal of the determination, eligibility reinstatement, and eligibility retroactive to the date with the determination and not equitably with any of the applicable policy with the reinstated is debarred with the knowingly doing with the business of the barred person debarred and suspended under Title 2 CFR Part 182, CFR Part 417.7, and U.S. Standard Code 2209. Has requested administrative risk policy agent for the consideration reinstatement of the eligibility according to the applicable policy provision of the request has been denied. 680, the control substance section implied with 1764 of the Federal Food Security Act of 1985 within Chapter 13, Title 21, requirement of the now with the federal benefits, including with the crop insurance of the individual convicted with a controlled substance violation, according to the paragraph B and C of the section, nothing notwithstanding with any of the provisions of the law with the ineligible to participate in the program authorized with the Act provided. Statute 40683, individual conviction, federal state law, planting, cultivating, growing, producing, harvesting, or storing with a controlled substance in any of the crop year, nothing withstanding the provisions involved, individual may be determined by the court ineligible to participate with the program authorized with the Act. And Statute 4683, with a person convicted with a federal state law with the possession, trafficking with a controlled substance. 40681, written payment agreement. The written payment agreement shall require scheduled installment of payments which will allow for the full payment of the debt within the time frame allotted with the paragraph of the A2 with the section with the not exceed with the 2 year with the duration, not modified with the replacement, the consolidated after the execute with the accordance with the paragraph B with the section of what with the being determined with the eligibility through the execute for the written payment agreement with the debt arising from the unpaid with the premium administrative fee for the catastrophic protection fees. Only written payment agreement is permitted with a permanent determination date with a written payment agreement with may cover the multiple crops of the may also have the same termination date. Written payment agreement must be signed with both of the parties with the debt of the insurance with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation applicable on before the termination date specified with the applicable policy with the prevent eligible determination of delinquent debt. For all other debts, written payment agreement must be signed with both parties with the debtor of the insurance with the provider with the Federal Crop Insurance Company with the applicable before the date with the notice of the person with the amount of the due with the prevent with the eligible determination for the delinquent debt. 682 with the termination notification term with the provider with the must send with the written notes of the debt with the person with include with the time of the frame with the debt when the must be paid with the provider with the person with a meaningful opportunity with the content of the amount with the existence of the debt with the once of the debtor has filed bankruptcy and the insurance property is formally informed the substitute of the court of the debtor no request of the payment of the debt can be made with approval of the writing and officer of the general counsel of the debt may be notified with the amount of the debt ineligible to crop insurance. The insurance of the provider shall be evaluated with the primary response if any with the determinant with the debt is owned with the delinquent upon with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation. The insurance of the provider shall submit with the documentation related with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation. If the insurance of any of the other person evidence that the person creator tier set forth in Title Statute 40679 A, B, C, E, and F, there must immediately be notified of the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation after the insurance determines the person has met with one of the more of that criteria. 40679 notified of the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation. Federal Crop Insurance Corporation issue the mail notes for the eligible the person has with the known address of the insurance of the provider. No such for the son sent such address of the conclusively presumed to have the received with that person not eligible to stay with the criteria of the determination eligible to leave with the base of the bribe restatement of the facts supported with the determination time period with the eligible to right to appeal with the determination play with the ITS according to the paragraph E of this section. With 30 days of the receipt of the notice eligible person with the may provide with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation to determine the play for the ITF the national appeal for the division of the claim for the Title 7 of the CFR Part 11 is with the amount of the debt with the determinant with the insured with the provide with the Federal Crop and that not with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation and those that therefore determines for the not appealable national appeal to the division person with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation determined to play for the ITS for the national appeal for the division insured with the provider will be notified with the provider with the opportunity to participate proceeding if permitted in Title 7 Part 11 no later than 60 days after the termination date of the missed payment, date of the previously executed written payment agreement, and in the case of the overpaid with the identity with any of the amount with the became in the due after the termination date of the date due, specify the notice of the person amount due with the applicable with the ineligible person may request the consideration reinstatement from the administrator of the risk management agency in accordance with Section 2 of the Common Crop Insurance of the Policy Basic Provision Title 7 CFR 475.8. 468.3 with the period of eligibility beginning with the period of eligibility with the eligibility resolve of the delinquent of the debt that with the beginning of the day with the specified with the applicable policy and eligible to resolve the conviction of the federal state law, planting, cultivation, growing, with the producing, harvesting, with the storing of the controlled substance, with the beginning of the crop year of the individual and convicted, with the person with the trafficking of the controlled substance, beginning of the crop year with which individual is convicted unless determined otherwise by the court, eligible with the disqualification, debarment, the suspension of the 515H of the Act, CFR Part 180, Title 2, CFR 417, with the day with the person disqualified, debarred, and suspended by the debarred official of the administrative lodge of the other person authorized to take such action with the debarment of Title 17 U.S. Standard Code 2209, being crop year within this perfect conviction duration period, eligible to resolve the delinquent debt with the debt that has been fully discharged, bankrupted of the person has to give the written payment agreement, eligible to resolve the conviction with the federal state law with the pulling, cultivating, growing, with the producing, harvesting, with the storing, with the controlled substance from crop years succeeding with the crop in which the person was convicted, the possession of the controlled substance, with the trafficking of the controlled substance, with additional time with the eligible with the paragraph B2 without 1 of the section until the period is imposed with the code with the expired, with the eligibility to resolve the disqualification, debarment, suspension for the under the 515, the act with the Title 2 CFR 180, Title 2 CFR 417 with the period of the time of disqualification, debarment, suspension for the applicable as described, with the eligibility to resolve the not being with the United States citizen, United States with a non-citizen, national with a qualified alien until the day with each of the individual becomes in state with a civilization, citizen with the United States with a non-citizen, national with a qualified alien, and eligibility with the resolve of the conviction with the failing on the Title 7 U.S. Standard Code 2909, payment of unless otherwise determined in the secretary with the agricultural period with not less than 10 years. 4 and 684 for the effect of the eligibility for the effect of the eligibility based for the termination person for the eligible to resolve the link with the debt with the ineligible the crop for the authorized for the act for the certain time of the period of the corns with 40683 found with the bankrupt for the does not act make for the person eligible to crop insurance for the preclude for the eligible the person with it being played for the ITS the corn for the 40684 for the B1 person eligible to the last for the resolve of the suspension for the department and preclude for the participating all of the programs authorized after the include for the not limited to the obtaining with the crop insurance for the active of the agent with the loss adjuster insurance provided for the affiliate with the defined with the standard for the reinsurance agreement of livestock with the price of the reinsurance agreement, the excessive of the agreement, into the contract of the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation in Section 506.1 and Section 522C with the Act for the enter with any cooperative agreement of participation under the Section 506.1, 522D, 524A with the Act for the pursuing any of the covered transactions specified. 2 CFR Part 182, CFR Part 417, person eligible for the because of the disqualification under Section 515H Act that is precluded with the participation with all of the period for the authorized for the act with the include with the paragraph with the A2 with the 1 with the section with those listed with the 515H with the 3BC with the act. Individuals are ineligible because of the conviction of the violation control of the substance provision with the United States with the citizen with the United States with the non-citizen national with the close qualified alien preclude for participating in any of the program authorized acts include with the paragraph A2 with the 1 in the section person eligible to resolve the conviction failing under Title 7 in the U.S. Standard Code 2209J with the R of the preclude for the participating in the program the USDA. Once the person has determined that the eligible person relates for the ITS of the must be reported with the government agency unless the agency and the eligible person with the individual soul with the region of the eligible because individual of the not United States citizen, the United States with the non-citizen national with the qualified alien, eligible person is in an individual crop insurance policy for the eligible person solely insured with the terminate with the person ineligible in any of the region with the controlled substance with the violation of void person with the eligible to do with the conviction controlled substance violation courts with 40680 the person will remain eligible to the crop insurance for the applicable period specified in the 4683. Eligible person must be reported in all of the possible eligible person with a substantial benefit in the interest of the applicant with the insured with the chair of the under the touch of the prop policy reduced the common trade with the eligible person substantial for the benefit of the insured for the applicant with the insured with as long as the eligible person remains eligible in accordance with 40683. If it's an ineligible person with a general partnership with a limited partnership with a limited liability partnership with a limited liability comes to joint venture and as ineligible to resolve with a link with a die with a partner with the members of the ineligible general partnership with a limited partnership with a limited liability partner with a limited liability comes to joint venture with the eligible general partnership limited partnership limited liability partnership with a limited liability company joint venture and all parties of the members of the ineligible general partnership limited liability partnership limited partnership with a limited liability company joint venture with the eligible the crop insurance with the application period specified 4683. All crop insurance policies will be eligible to general partnership with limited with the partnership with limited liability partnership with a limited liability company joint venture with the sole of the will be insured with a terminate. With all crop insurance policy with which eligible the partnership with a member of the sole of the insurer with the will terminate with eligible the general partnership with a limited liability partnership with a limited liability partnership with a limited liability company, joint venture ineligible partnership with the membership that must be reported the other policy with which substantial the benefit of the insurer with the applicant with the insurer with the share under such policy with the will reduce with the compensate with the eligible general partnership with a limited with the partnership with a limited liability partnership with a limited liability company, joint venture with the ineligible partnership or membership substantial benefit of insurer with the applicant with the insurer with this along with the remaining eligibility in accordance with 406A3 with the meeting criteria specified in 40679T and F. All crop insurance policy with the written eligibility with the general with the partnership or limited liability partnership or limited liability partnership with limited liability company, joint venture with the sole insured will terminate with the eligible general partnership limited with the partnership limited liability partnership limited liability company, joint venture with the will remain eligible to crop insurance with the applicable for the period specified within section 406A3. Ineligible general partnership limited liability partnership limited liability company, joint venture with the must report with the other policy with a substantial benefit of the insurer with the applicant with the insurer with the insurer with the share with the under of the policy with the reduced compensated with the eligible the general partnership with limited liability partnership limited liability company, joint venture with substantial benefit insurer with the applicant with the insurer with the long as the remains eligible within section 406A3. If an ineligible person with the associated with the estimate of the trust with the corporation with a similar entity with the eligible the result with the debt with the delinquent debt with all of the partner with the membership with the shareholder with the administrator with the executive with the trustee with the grantor with the individual eligible with the delinquent debt occurred as a result of the action with the inaction with the termination with the federal crop insurance company with the corporation with the LPAL with the ineligibility associated with the estimate of the trust corporation of the similar entity with the sole insured with the terminate with the remain eligible to crop insurance with the applicable for the period with the less of 468A3 eligible associated with the estimated with the trust of the corporation and similar entity with the must be with the reported either possibly substantial benefit of interest in the applicant with the insured chair with the under of the trust for the provision policy with the reduce with the compensate with the ineligible with the substantial benefit of interest applicant insured with the long if the person remains eligible in accordance with the 406A3. All policy with the partner member with the shareholder with the administrator with the executive with the trustee with the guarantor with the determined eligible in accordance with the 4684A B41A is with the sole with the insured with the terminated with the person remain eligible the crop insured with the applicable specified in 406A3, eligible partner membership with the shareholder, the administrator, with the executive, with the trustee, with the grantor, with the maybe report, with the policy, with the substantial, with the beneficial interest with the applicant, with the or insured with the insured share, with the trust, with the reduced, with the common share, with the eligible partner, for substantial benefit and interest with the applicant, with the insured, with along with the person remains the eligible in accordance with 46A3 and even the criteria specified in 4679C, E, and F. All crop insurance policy with the eligible association with the estate with the trust with the corporation or other similar entity sole insured will terminate with the eligibility association with the estate with the trust of corporation similar entity with the remain eligible to crop insurance with the applicable for the period specified 46A3. Eligible association estimated trust corporation or other similar entity with the report of the other policy with the substantial benefit of the insured with the applicant with the insured with the share with the trust of the policy reduced with the compensate with the eligible association estate with the trust corporation or other similar entity with the substantial benefit of interest the applicant insured with this for as long as it remains eligible in 4683. If the applicant is insured with the corporation, the partnership, the joint venture, the trust of the corporation, limited liability company, limited liability partnership, limited partnership, the other similar with the created with the concealed with the interest of the ineligible person to evade with the intelligible determination of the person, substantial beneficial interest with the applicant, with the insured with the policy, the void with all the crop, with the insured with the policy, with the eligible policy, with the Lord, limit 10 with the time, with the terminate, with the next termination date, the other person starts with the policy, with the applicant, with the crop, insured with the coverage of the before, with the applicable sales closing date, with the obtained with the insurance with the coverage of the crop, and otherwise eligible for such coverage. The spouse of the minor child with the individual insured with the considered with the same with the individual purpose, the subpart with the subject with the same with the ineligible, except for the individual ineligible to do with the conviction of the control substance violation in accordance with the 468 with the individual eligible to resolve the felony conviction with the knowingly defraud with the guarantee with the connection with any of the programs administered with the USDA with the individual eligible to not use and used in the United States with this in the United States with the non-citizen national qualified alien individual ineligible to resolve the disqualification department suspension with the spouse can prove with legally separated with the other legally separated done with the applicable state dissolution marital law with the minor can be separated legal interest with any such with the interest engaged in a separate farming operation from the individual notwithstanding the 4684F. When the policy is avoided with the according for the subject of the non-identity with the payment of the pay with the void policy with the identity with the payment that already made with the avoided policy with the declare with the overpayments of the must be repaid in full. No premiums will be due with the premium to pay with the refund except with the policy with the void with the due with the conviction with the control substance with the violation according with the 4688 with which with the case with the insured with the will be required with the 20% of the premium the insured with the would otherwise be required with the pay offset with the cost of the insured policy. When insured share with the policy with the reduced with the corn for the subprime with the identity with the payment of consumption with the share with the reduced already made with the declare with the overpayment is bound to be paid in the full with the premium to pay with the insured with the compensate with the share with the reduced will be refunded. The insurance written with the insurance provided with the person eligible with the provision with the subpart of the non-eligible the insurance with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation premium the subject to the expense for the other payment that must be made by the Freeman Crop and Federal Crop Insurance Corporation the insurance with the wish written with any of the person eligible to you with under the provision of the subpart of the may be identified and immediately refund of the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation have with regard with the policy with the would do with the connection with the control substance violation quote with the 40680 insurance provided for with the procedure with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation quote with the regulation remnant reinsure with the will continue to provide with the reinstatement agreement with the policy unless shown in the agent. Insured will provide with the knowledge of the facts which would indicate eligible to part over the insured will fail to act with the knowledge. 40685 of the eligible regaining and eligible to appear with the eligibility specified with the 4683 has any of the eligible person eligible to participate in the program authorized with the act of the provide with the person meaning with the eligible requirement that after the person regains over the crop insurance with the where of the person policy with the terminated void with the person submitted with the new application of the crop insurance coverage on before the applicable sale closing date with the obtainment of the insurance with the crop for the crop to the day with the regaining with the eligibility occur for the applicable sale of the closing date for the crop of the person may be participating with the following year with the life of the crop policy is allowed for the application and accepted after the sales closing date. If the person determined eligible to claim for the subsequent detail of the eligible person for the crop insurance for the reinstatement of the meditation and arbitration appeal with the judicial review such that the person will be reinstated with effect for the beginning of the crop of the year with the producer of the determined eligible to for the person entitled for the applicable the benefits done with the such for the person provided the person meets eligible requirements and complies with the term of the policy. 40686 with the administrative of the main with the eligible to produce with the data with the will being with the system record of shell with the main with the risk management agency according with the Privacy Act, the 5 U.S. Code 552A, RDS contained with the identity with the information eligible to person but include but not limited to the name and address, telephone number, social security number, employee identification number, the region eligible, the time of the period of eligibility, information ITF with the maybe with the authorized proof of the information may be different for the appropriate requirement for the law of the regulation include but not limited to the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation, contracted agency, other government agency, the credit report agency, collecting agency the response to judicial orders of courts for the litigation, individual information made available from the various reports for the notice, supporting the documentation regarding the determination eligible to reinstatement that means eligibility maintained by the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation, contracting insurance with the provider for the federal agency, state agency for the documentation maintained with the pertaining with the consistent electronic information containing the ITS. B. Information that may be obtained with the ITS Federal Crop Insurance Corporation, employee with the contractor insurance provided with all persons supplied with the crop insurance supplied with the existing policy that will be issued with the reinsured with the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation will subject to validation eligibility staff with the ITS application transfer of the benefit approved with the accepted and considered approved with accepted with the subject with the review of the eligible staff in accordance with the subpart. Insurance providers partners cooperative with the contractor must check with the insured with the person with the doing with the business with the eligible to participate in the program and authorized under the act. Insurance policy provided by the partner with the cooperative with the contractor must check with the ITF. The ITF may not include with the all persons ineligible to receive the government button such benefits such as the person disbarment disqualified suspend with the receive the government benefits agency of the Federal Crop Insurance Corporation. Insurance with the provided with the partners cooperative with the contractor must check with the other source of the containing ineligible person will include but not limited to the APLS or the successor list of the provided data with the person eligible to participate in the program authorized under the Act. Subpart Z submission policy provisions policy rate premiums and non-reinsured supplement policies.